All right, Mouse 1, Chapter 4, The Noose Titans, if you remember. Of course, Vladik threw out Art's quote, showing again their bumpy relationship, but also showing the love. He wants his son to go out into the world, into the community, and show that his dad's taking care of him. And then, of course, he was in the POW camp and was reunited at home when, of course, Germany beats Poland in just a matter of days. And they are now living under an occupied, Polish country. The Noose Titans. You're late, noticed the new trench coat. Oh, I'm not. I said I'd be here after dinner. But now it's dark out. I wanted you would climb the roof. It's a leak in the drain pipe, huh? But I'm no good at fixing stuff. Why don't you just hire somebody? Ach, you and Mala, you both think money grows on bushes. I'll fix myself. That's crazy. You can't climb a 2-story ladder in your condition. If you want, I'll pay for the handyman. Ugh, never mind, forget I said anything. Just come sit with me while I have to pedal. Otherwise I get at night a leg cramp. What are you holding? A new tape recorder. Writing things down just got too hard. So how much you pay? Only $75. It was on sale. Psh, at Corvetti's. You could find it maximum $35. All right, skip it. Just tell me about when you got back from the POW camp in 1940. Here's the window within a window, the panel within a panel, as we are going back to the past again. He's great at showing us. We're going to the past. Now, here in this scene, this was on page 5 of the packet, and it shows how the panel-to-panel transitions can be displayed moment to moment, action to action. We're going to see subject to subject, a series of changing subjects within a single scene. So here we are at the dinner. When first I came home, it looked exactly like before I went away. It was still very luxurious. The Germans, they couldn't destroy everything at once. So again, we're looking across all of the different people there at the dinner. These are the subjects, subject to subject. So all the people in this one scene. It was 12 of us living in father-in-law's household. It was Anya and me and our boy Rishu. And older sister Tosha, and Anya's older sister Tosha, her husband Wolf, and their little girl Bibi. It was Anya's grandparents, and they were maybe 90 years old, but very alert. And of course, it was my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, and also the 2 kids from your Uncle Herman and Aunt Helen, Lolik and Lonia. Again, we go to the present. Herman and Helen were lucky, or Hela. They were visiting the New York World's Fair when the war came. It saved them their life. Ah, grandmother, your stew is better than I remembered. No, it's not like before the war, Vladik. I can't get the foods that I need or that I used to. Each of us gets coupons for 8 ounces of bread a day and a tiny bit of margarine, sugar, and jam per week. That's all. So how do we manage? I've donated a lot to the Gemeinde, the Jewish Committee organization. And Wolf works there too, so we get a little extra. Now, the Gemeinde, the Jewish Community Organization. These were really sad stories. Had we watched Schindler's List, they show this. And they basically had these offices set up that would allow people to go and lodge complaints. Of course, their complaints went nowhere. It was another step of control. Yeah, we'll get all the people together. We'll take away their rights, but we'll let them complain. Here, they can voice their complaints. Of course, that did nothing. But it helped control the crowd. Now, you had some of these that were head of the Jewish organization, the head of the Jewish council, and we're going to meet some of them that really were very good. They tried to save the people. There were many that were bad, that tried to take advantage of the situation and maybe only save their families. But so many of them ended up taking their own life. When they're really liquidating the ghettos and it's getting down to it, and the Germans were demanding people, they started, bargaining with themselves. Like, well, okay, if I give the Germans just a couple old people, I'm going to save all the young people. Okay, if I give the Germans just this one person, I'm going to save so many. All right, if I turn over so-and-so, I'm going to save... And that's that insane math that people were doing. And then that's why so many of them took their life, because although they were good-hearted, although they were trying their best, they were put into an impossible situation. But we're going to see more about the Jewish Council. Continuing on. There's always the black market. With money, you can always get anything. What's dangerous, though? The Nazis take you off to work camp for breaking any minor law, or worse, even if you don't break any laws. And those that are taken away, they're never seen again. Well, we should be happy we're all together enough to eat. But we must really tighten our belts until the war ends. Come, let's play rummy while the ladies clear the table. Has the family been taking good care of my Belosko textile factory? Don't you know? All Jewish businesses have been taken over by Aryan managers. I went to our factory in Lutz and they said, "Better go home today, old man. Tomorrow we'll carry you out." What? Isn't any money coming in? Not a single zloty. And the family wants to live like they did before the war. All right, Vlad, cut the cards. Wolf, what kind of work are you doing? Just a little office work for the Gemeinde. But a few months ago, father-in-law took all his valuables home from the bank safe. Yeah, but how long can the savings last? Don't worry so much, Vlad. You'll see. The war will be over like lightning. Yeah, like lightning. Wolf only looked to play cards. I went the next day to Modrzkova Street. Here people still made money from secret businesses, not so legal. Psst. Food coupons for Reichs. Vladek Spiegelman. Mr. Ilzeki, what are you doing in Sosnowiec? Ilzeki used to be a customer of mine that made the best tailor in Katowice. The Nazis moved me here to an apartment. I make uniforms for their officers and suits on the side when I can get the cloth. Are you still in business? I don't know. I just got back from war prison. Well, if you get any cloth, come see me. This note will get you past the door. Oh, the note that I worked with him. Such a paper could be useful to have. I went then to the shops that still owed me money from before the war. But I can't pay you. A German runs my place now. I'm lucky to have a job. Well, then advance me a few coupons. A few yards of material without coupons. Okay. Hide this under your jacket. Look how plump he is in the second to last panel there. Mr. Ilzeki, please. So I made nice few zlotys the very first week I came home. I remember father-in-law was so happy with me. You see, at least there's one smart guy in the family. Of course, I only said I got half what I really made. Otherwise, they wouldn't save anything. A little later, I was again on Modrzkova, looking to buy some textiles without coupons. The SS closed off the whole streets to inspect the working papers from everyone. I didn't know before about this. I managed to disappear into a building, but they took maybe 50% of the people away. I talked about it to father-in-law. They almost got me. I need more than just Ilzeki's note. Yeah, it's true. Come, we'll visit a friend of mine who owns a tin shop. I think his overseer can be bribed. And so it went. Okay, Vladek, since we make things for Germany, we can get you a priority work card. Remember, if there's a roundup, run in here and pretend you're working. I learned here to do things that were useful to me in Auschwitz. And so we lived for more than a year, but always things became a little worse. Father-in-law had a nice bedroom set. The Germans looked to grab such furniture because in stores it wasn't any more to get. Wolf and I schlepped everything valuable downstairs for Polish neighbor to hide. Oh, are we leaving the other bed upstairs? Yeah, mother-in-law is too sick. She needs a good bed. Anya's mother had gallstones. The day the Germans came, she lay in bed. Please don't take her bed. Look how sick she is. The doctor is here every day. Father-in-law had an old friend who came always over to play cards, and they left without taking anything. I met a German official who would pay well for a bedroom set. Hidden, we had no use for furniture, so we slept it again upstairs. You have excellent taste in furniture, Herr Zeigelberg. Thank you. My men will be right back for your wife's bed, too. I haven't been paid yet. You cheated us last time, Jew. Please, if you want to stay alive, go back inside. He was so unhappy after that. One time I was going to see Ilzeki. This was late in 1941. I think his house was very near to train station, and it was going something terrible. I had to pass near where they were grabbing Jews if they had papers or no. What did I do? Will I walk slow? They take me. Will I run? They shoot me. Boy, talk about the panel telling the story. Not only in the third panel is it the shape of the Jewish Star of David, but what else do you notice about it? How else is it telling a story? Clearly it's in the shape of the Star of David because it's symbolic of his Jewishness, but what else? Look at the size of it. He's literally poking out of it. It's constricting. It is too small. It is strangling him. It is constricting his life, and he's marked. Continuing on. Then, from far, I saw Zeki walking, so I went hastily over to him. Hello, Mr. Spiegelman, what are you doing here? Don't you see what's going on? Quick, come upstairs with me until the trains leave. Zeki lived in a very fancy house. He was the only Jew there. So I sat with him and his wife a good few hours. We heard shooting and screaming. He survived me my life that time. Reminded of the parable, the story. This is a famous story. Martin Niemöller He's a German Lutheran pastor who, lived through the war. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. They came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. They came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Pretty powerful words, and that's that mentality. If the Nazis were in the business of making buttons, it would have been the most efficient button-making factory in the world. They were not in the business of making buttons. They were in the business of exterminating people, and they did it very efficiently. They set up these councils so people could lodge complaints, but it's just a way easier to control. If you control someone forcibly and you don't let them say anything, it's going to be harder. They're going to fight. But if you give them this avenue, here, go complain here, even though that does nothing, it's easier. They were ingenious at some of the ways that they did it. Even someone like Ilzeki, they put him up. They said, oh, you're okay. And so they had the powerful, that they sort of said, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're powerful. You're rich. It's all right. It won't happen to you. And then eventually their turn comes. They get the undesirables out of the way first. But they were all undesirable in the Nazis' eyes. Continuing on. So he says, Ilzeki saved me my life that day. Ilzeki had a son at the same age like Rishu. If only you could see how these children played together. Listen, Vladek, we can't know what's going to happen to us, but we must keep our children safe. I have a good friend, a Pole, who is willing to hide my son until the situation gets better. I think he'd take your boy too. Yeah, you may be right. Let me speak to my family. But I'm telling you, it was something terrible going on in our house when I mentioned it. What? Have you gone crazy? How can you even think of giving up Rishu to complete strangers? I'll never give up my baby. Never! Look at the countenance. Look at her facial expressions. You can see she's clutching him, the body language. Now, of course, you're going to believe that your child cannot be any safer except in your arms. They had no idea what was coming. Now, there's whole stories of the hidden children, the children that were given, that were able to survive, only because their parents did give them away. You can look up some great websites on hidden children. What a terrible decision these parents were forced to make. Give up their child, and of course you're going to think, no way, it's not going to get that bad. How could it get so bad? Of course the best place is to be with me. But look at what happens here. Ilzeki and his wife didn't come out from the war, but the son remained alive, and ours did not. And anyway, we had to give up Rishu a year later to hide. Now, we're gonna come back to this, but just imagine Anya. We know she takes her own life later, but here she has this opportunity to hide Rishu. And this was before it got super bad, so of course, like any parent, you're gonna say, no way is my child safer anywhere but here. And then when it gets so bad, they do end up giving her Rishu. Now, we got to kind of see what happens. But think of the mother. She had this opportunity, and with the years of advantage of hindsight, she was able to look back and say, oh, I missed my opportunity. If I would have given it to Ilzeki, perhaps our Rishu would still be alive. I mean, it's an insane, terrible situation. We're going to come back to this, but this is the first time they had the opportunity to hide Rishu, and they didn't take it. No blame to be found, because who would think their child is going to be safer anywhere else? But it's just the horror, the ugliness of this all, and the lasting damage that it has done mentally, spiritually, physically, to all the generations of people. Continuing on, when we were in the ghetto in 43, Tosha took all the children. Wait, Pop. If you don't keep your story chronological, I'll never get through it straight. Tell me more about 41 and 42. So I'm kind of previewing the hidden children and what happens to Rishu. All you need to remember is they had this opportunity, and with the benefit of hindsight, they know had they done it, Rishu would have come back, because Ilzeki's child came back. Even though Ilzeki didn't make it out from the war, his child did. They had the opportunity to send Rishu there, but they didn't. We'll get back to this. So, okay, I'll make it so how you want. It's 1941. At the end of 41, the Germans came with something new. Wolf ran from the Gemeinde. Look, they're putting these all over town. Order, all Jews of Snosowik must be relocated into the ghetto. That's what the ghetto is, the Stara Sosnowiec ghetto. Again, forced living in a small place. And then, once they have them in those small places, then it's easy to liquidate. Once you get them, and that's at the beginning of Schindler's List, I wish we were watching it, but all the Jews from all the surrounding areas have to come to the city and register. Then when they're in the city, then they put them in the ghetto. And then once they're there, they restrict life. Then once they're there, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't. And slowly but surely, they took away eventually their rights, but eventually all of them. Once they had them in the area, they'd bust them out. The old, the infirm, the sick, and then everybody. So, they must be relocated by January 1st, 1942. Non-Jews will be moved into vacated premises. Look at the poster. Reward. For every unregistered Jew you find, a kilo of sugar. So they're starving them, but then they're also saying, hey, if you turn over an unregistered Jew, we'll give you some money. Again, ingenious. They weren't making buttons. They were in the business of killing. And this is just another measure. Starve them, and then have them rat on each other. They're going to be so starved, they're going to need a food, they'll be willing to do it. They had something, I always forget what it is, but it was like social... It was like the social contract or something, so that if you're in a concentration camp and somebody does escape, they kill like 3 of you, because it was your job to keep them there. And it also prevented or deterred others from escaping, because they knew if they escaped, other people would lose their life. Just ingenious at the way in which they rolled out the final solution. Continuing on. Most people got even less space, but father-in-law and Wolf, they still had a little influence. But this wasn't yet the real ghetto. You could still go into other parts of the town, so long as you had to be home at night. Hold the ladder on you. I'm putting up a curtain to give us some privacy. Tosha insisted on getting the part of the room with the window. Oh, it doesn't matter, Vladek. I'm just glad the whole family can stay together. It was no more the luxury life like we had before. For a couple of months, I did hear still my black market business. Then came more bad news. Very bad. What's wrong, Father? They just arrested my friend Noam Cohen and his son. They've taken the Jews away for dealing goods without coupons. I did much business with Cohen. The Germans, they intended to make an example of them. The next day I walked over to Matroskova Street, and I saw them. They hanged there for 1 full week. And look at the panels, how their feet kind of extend. Like, this is so big. This story extends and permeates into other parts of their life. And why leave them up for a week? Again, the message. This could be you. Rule by fear. Cohen had a dry goods store. He was known all over Sosnowiec. Often he gave me cloth with no coupons. I traded also with Pfeffer, a fine young man, a Zionist. He was just married. His wife ran screaming into the street. And look at this panel, how well it tells the story. Here's one you might pick. What is going on in here? Why have Vladek blocked out, facing one way, Rishu in the light facing another, and then these ghost figures literally hanging over his head? Lots to read there. I was frightened to go outside for a few days. I didn't know. I didn't want to pass where they were hanging, and maybe one of them could have talked of me to the Germans who tried to save their own life. When I now still think of them, it makes me cry. Even in my dead eye, tears are coming. What was Anja doing around this time? Housework, knitting, reading, and she was writing always her diaries. I used to see Polish notebooks around the house when I was a kid. Were those her diaries? Yes and no. Her diaries, they didn't survive from the war. What you saw was what she wrote after. Oh my God, where are they? I need to get those books. Please, Artie, stop with the smoking. It makes me short of breath. I think it's all your peddling. Don't be smart, guy. What I was telling you, yes, after the hanging I looked for another business. I started to trade gold and jewelry. It was easier to hide than clothing. I kept things hidden in the child's stroller, and I made a few zlotys. Okay, we're going to pause part 1 here of this chapter, and we'll return shortly.